The Invaders. A Quinn Martin production.
Well, we won't be talking about that one, so we can go to another series that completely rips it off. So welcome to another episode of Could Have Been a Classic, and roll intro.
In 1564, Nostradamus predicted the destruction of Earth in 3 terrifying waves. The first wave is here. My name is Couldve Foster. These are my journals. They killed my wife, framed me for murder. Now I run, but I don't hide. With the prophecies of Nostradamus as my guide, I seek them, I hunt them. I will stop the first wave. In 1564, Nostradamus predicted the destruction of Earth in 3 terrifying waves. The first wave is here. My name is Couldve Foster. These are my journals. They killed my wife, framed me for murder. Now I run, but I don't hide. With the prophecies of Nostradamus as my guide, I seek them, I hunt them. I will stop the first wave.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. And this week we're going to be covering a TV series that ran from 1998 to 2001 and was cancelled, so it fits in with the rules of Could Have Been a Classic. The Invaders rip-off First Wave. Yes, where do we start? So let's go quickly into the Wikipedia bit. Ta-da! Right. The magic of Google. Right. First Wave science fiction drama television series filmed in Vancouver. And honestly, half the cast of Stargate is in this. All the actors, you know, all the actors that played in like Mutant X and all that, they're all in this. They're like playing different characters. Show was created by Francis Ford Coppola, was the executive producer on the show. In an unusual move, the Sci-Fi Channel, which picks it up in late '98. Plot. Former thief turned security specialist Kincaid Lawrence, known as Cade Foster's life was idyllic with a beautiful wife, good job, and a nice house. Unbeknownst to him, a race of extraterrestrials called the Gua have identified him as subject 117 in an alien experiment. I'm not going to pronounce that. To test his human will. As part of the experiment, his life is systematically ruined, including the murder of his wife, for which he's framed. He's the only one of the 117 subjects saw the riddles of the experiment and escape arrest. To live as a fugitive, Gua are among the humans in the form of hybridized genetic clones and plan to enslave humanity. So, right, that's like the opening. So basically, Couldve Foster has got everything perfect in life, right? It's all wonderful at first, like 35 minutes at first episode. But there's these aliens that are doing these like experiments, and when they're doing it to him, meets this prisoner who tells him of this book, and he could be the chosen one. And this is where it gets interesting. This is why we're drawn to this. The Book of Nostradamus' predictions, the original book. They kill his wife, they set him up for murder, him and his wife. Before they kill his wife, they find this book that predicts everything, right? They're called quatrains of certain events in the future, right? And he's got to decipher them and stop all these events. And that's basically the premise of the series. They kill his wife, he gets framed for a murder, he goes on the run. There's a guy called Crazy Eddie who's a hacker genius, he's a genius, lives in a caravan, and he's got a magazine called The Paranoid Times, and he comes out with all these like conspiracies and all this, and he finds him, teams up with him, and then every week he's like on his computer, his car. I mean, he lives in a fucking caravan, right? And they move around the country, and they translate these quatrains, and they turn up in a place and undo what the aliens are going to do, right? So that's the basics of first wave. There's 3 waves. They've got to stop the second wave, and then the third wave will be coming. And I always kept calling this third wave, but they've got to stop the second wave, right? Because they're going to invade us, right? So we're going to go into that, right? So we're going to go into the history of the aliens, right? The history of the Gua. We were once like you. There's a time for peace in the growth, but we became complacent. And when the invasion force landed, they took us down. One rebel led us to freedom. That's when we took the name. Gua means power to overcome. Over the centuries, science and industry achieved the perfect focus. We created a military machine to ensure our freedom permanently. We're here because we'll never be victims again. Joshua Bridges, Season 1, Episode 9. The Guada, they're right. They come from another galaxy, right? And how they get to Earth is they fire asteroids, like meteors, through a wormhole from their galaxy. And these like asteroids or meteors land on Earth, and this team picks them up. You could say, you remember Quatermass 2, where it's similar to that, right? And inside there's an orb which downloads their consciousness, right? And then they have these like installations where there's like the perfect human bodies, right? And they download the consciousness into that. Because I don't know why they don't bring their own bodies through, but they're a race of infiltrated. Now, they've been on Earth since the 1940s, and they've affected certain political things like wars to test us out to see if we'll, to invade us. And Cade Foster, he's 117, as they keep referring to him. He shows this indomitable will. They can't break him. They just make him more determined. So basically, we're moving into David Vincent territory, right? So he's going along right after they kill his wife and he meets Crazy Eddie. And every week they undo the alien plot of the week and some weird thing going on. But there's an alien called Joshua, and he's like a warrior. And he's been on Earth a long time. Now, I don't like the human race, but he's a patriot to his race. But the problem is he doesn't agree where his race is going. There's quite a few of them on his world because they had a leader called Metek who was into peace and that he didn't like this. And Joshua thinks his race are, obviously going about the wrong thing because they've conquered other worlds and they seem to ruin each planet they go to, because I'm going to go into this later on. So Cade Foster's running about everywhere and Joshua's after him, like. So you get quite a lot of the invaders in this. Now, the beauty of this, you do actually find out about the Gua. You sort of get into about the culture, who they are, and that's what I think I quite liked about this. And whereas like the invaders, it was more paranoia, and this is like first wave lacks that. Because sometimes on what I've been watching it, and there were 66 episodes all in all. There were 66 episodes, and what happened is like with the invaders, you got this amazing amount of paranoia because you didn't know anything about them. They were ruthless. Now with this lot, the Gua, they tried to take it down that path, and some episodes it sort of works, right? So we get to see like the Gua Council on Earth. They've been here for so long, so it does make sense how they've managed to build these big installations, because they've got these like bases like underground and in building, usual stuff, secret layers and this. But they've infiltrated government, military. They've infiltrated basically every branch of everything in society, corporations. And but they've been doing 40 years worth of experiments. Now, Joshua, who is after Foster, ends up like sort of he respects him because in the end of the season 1, there's a big meeting of the Gua Head. They're called. That's what they call it. The leader's called the Gua Head. Then there's the Gua Council on Earth. And their assessment of 40 years of testing us and all this, some of them want to invade and some of them want to hold back. Because Joshua believes for every 117 humans, every 117, he's the one that's going to unify the other lot, get them together and kick them off the planet. And he worries about it because there'll be a bloodbath for both sides, even though they're more advanced. Something about human nature that somehow, all right, we're all fucking each other over and we're all quite selfish. You know, like how the aliens see us and we're all out for ourselves and we indulge ourselves in our passions in this. Well, he believes that out of every so many, I suppose, there's one that's going to stand up and unify everybody because they realise that certain things will bring the human race together. There's certain events that will bring us all together and make us dangerous to them. And he believes that this Cade Foster's a threat to that because there could be others out there like him. Which is sort of like that. I think it's really good. And again, we go into the old David Vincent thing, you know, where nobody believes him and he's fighting this secret war. And obviously, he's got a couple of allies. And that's how the first season finishes. It's quite interesting. And you get, because I remember like First Wave, it's an interesting one. It is. Not a lot of people know about it because I went looking for reviews on it last night. And I couldn't find that much. I found one review on YouTube. That was it. And I watched it, and he said quite a few good things about it. And First Wave, it was on Channel 5 in the UK in the 90s, but they kept moving it around. And then it turned up on Horror Channel. It went here and went there. And I never followed it to end. And it's only recently I've sort of finally got to get to the end of it and see how it all finishes. Because it never really got a chance, really. It got cancelled after 66 episodes. It was losing viewers. Now, Sebastian Spence, the actor that plays Cade Foster, I quite like Cade Foster's character, actually. I think he's quite interesting, because this is a man driven, you know, to stop it. But it's all to do with this Nostradamus book, and there's quite a nice twist with this book, which you sort of find out in the third season. Now, it sort of does lose its way a bit later on. You know, there's some parts of it where you think, well, I was starting to rush through bits of it last night because it's like some stuff, it's just repeating itself quite a bit. But when you get into the Guar episodes about them, I've noticed you sort of watch a lot more about them because you want to know. There's another, in second season, there's a great episode where there's another meeting, like all the Gua heads of, there's three orders that organise it, the Acolytes, the Aspirins, and the Olimorphs. I forgot what there's three. I think the Aspirins, the Acolytes, and this other one. And they've all got like, one's like the soldiers, science, and psychology. It's like this whole thing, right? So I assume in their own galaxy they've got spaceships because it's mentioned they have ships. But probably they can't get the ships through the wormhole. I don't know because they're in this other galaxy. Their sun's dying. It's going red. So I assume they're expanding outwards. And but it seems like there's a right. Where do I go with this? Right, because I don't want to like go into like each episode because it's more or less the same every week with a twist. Every now and again you get the twist that runs through the series. Now, Joshua, he finds other Guar like himself that don't want this to happen because he thinks, because you say they're all stuck in human bodies on our planet. So I don't, it never explains why they don't come through in a big warship or all like that. Maybe they can't get ships through the wormhole. Maybe it's from one galaxy to the other. I don't know. It never really explains it. So that's why they send the conscience through into these bodies. Now this is hilarious because they use they've learnt about sex, right? And they're sort of like every one of them's good looking, right? They've all got these perfect human bodies, right? And all the women are gorgeous, and you know. And they're all like in these rooms, and they're all like tied up with nothing on. They've just got these straps covering parts of the body, and they're all super fit. But they get into sex, so they use like they're fascinated by sex. You know what I mean? Because it's like this pleasure thing. I don't think they can do it like out the human race can, and they sort of use it as a weapon. You know, because they manipulate people. But some of the Gua have become addicted to it, sex. Now, this is where I couldn't stop laughing. They get stoned on salt, right? Yeah. Salt's addicted to them. It's like heroin or something like that. It's a drug. They get absolutely hammered on it. And there's one episode, Joshua like cleans the mess up. If they've messed up, he turns up and cleans it up. So the rest of the world don't find out about him. There's one episode where he's looking, one of them's in this like, in this place, and everybody's stoned in this like abandoned factory. And Joshua turns up and kills him. He's absolutely hammered on salt, and you can't stop laughing. Which, fair enough. I think they were trying to make that interesting. Now they're all sort of one-minded as well. They're a bit arrogant, and I mean, there's one or two that are interesting, but they are your stereotype, except Joshua. And the actor that plays Josh is quite good because he's been in a lot of stuff, you know, over like 90s. I remember him back in there. So Joshua was chasing him around, but him and Cade developed this like relationship where Joshua sometimes steps in and helps him. It's like they're testing him all the time, you know. And chasing him and Eddie are going after the country, but each week he's making allies. His Cade, you know, the people get caught up in the situation, and FBI's after him and all this. And when he's sort of like running along, he'd set next episode, he's wanted for murder of his wife, and they're after him, and then police turn up as well because, you know, so he's got a lot to evade. And through second season, we're sort of building towards the second wave, you know. And there's a leader coming. It's the Antichrist called Mabus. Now, he's a bit different at rest at Gua. This is season 3. They create a body for him, and it looks like Cade Foster. Now, they're terrified of Cade Foster as well because they want the book of Nostradamus. Because it's predicting everything they're planning. The trouble is, you've got to figure it out because it's written in riddles. And this Eddie's got this computer program that sort of starts explaining stuff, and they start working it out. And each week he's undoing them with all these, they're called quatrains. And they want the book because it's a threat to him. Now, there's a whole big twist with this book, right? So, like, this leader called Mabus comes through, and they've cloned the body of Cade Foster for him. Now, him and Cade Foster, they're linked, right? And Cade Foster, he uses the clone, he gets a TV station, he takes it over, and he's going to produce evidence to the world to show 200 million people about this alien invasion, but it all messes up. Cade Foster gets shot live on TV, and it finishes. In comes season 3, then it explains that this is the clone where they were in this place where they were cloning this body of this great powerful Gua leader that's coming. I think he's the leader of the Gua, actually, coming to Earth. And they can't put him in a normal, they call the clone bodies husks, so they can't put him in there, right? So because he's too powerful. So like his clone body, Cade Foster's clone body gets killed, and the rest of the world thinks Cade Foster's dead, so he's now undercover. Well, Cade Foster's running about everywhere, right? Again, and this Mabus, it focuses on this Mabus's consciousness, because for 2 episodes, he gets hold of ball. Anybody who gets hold of this ball where he's conscious in it, this Mabus, it's like no human mind can handle it. People start dying, right? If you pick it up. And by the end of like the second 2-part opening season 3, maybe they can't give him a body because obviously Cade had his body killed. They give him like some kind of weird, well, like they clone him a body. It's like, I think he's like using temporary bodies now. And he's in this like environment chamber, ordering everybody about. Well, Joshua and there's other Gua that are in the resistance. he's against the invasion now. It's sort of like he's going more our way, even though he don't like the human race, but he don't believe he's a patriot to his people, but he thinks it's wrong what they're doing. Because like we go into a bit more with this whole Guar thing, because we see what they do to planets, and it's quite scary actually. So meanwhile, Mavis is predicted in the Nostradamus book, right? The original book. It's got this red crystal in it. And so Cade Foster, anyway, fights his way into this base, and he thinks he's killed Mavis in this like knackered body he's in. He ain't Mavis survived because he's too powerful. And basically, for like loads of episodes, he's giving out loads of orders. Do you know what I mean? So then he finds out that there's somebody being nosy, because they've got a website called the Paranoid Times where he puts his journals up of defeating these aliens. And he's gaining followers, because in some episode he meets a biker gang who was just slaughtering Guar for no apparent reason, and even innocent people, and he has to stop them because they shouldn't be fighting like that, you know, because they're killing humans as well, you know. This group of vigilantes, but Cade stops them. He said, we can't be like them. So, like, right, where do we go from here? This is where it sort of like gets a bit like it does go up its ass a bit, slightly. So we've got like Mavis in this tank or whatever, right, giving orders. He's like, obviously he's got the standard big scary alien voice, you know, as they do. And there's a group called the Raven Nation. Now Tracy Lords, the actress, she plays Jordan, right? I'm surprised actually, because Tracy Lords is a very good actress. You know, she really is, and she plays a great character. Well, she leads this thing called Raven Nation. They're called Raven Nation, right? And this Raven Nation, there's a load of them. They're organised. They've got money. They've got a base, and they're fighting the Guar. And Cade sort of comes into them because in first two episodes, there's a scene in the church where one of these Guar scientists that's meant to be creating this body for this Mavis, she kills herself in church, because when they kill themselves, obviously they do the invaders, they vaporize, or well, they dissolve into like smoke, like a red flash, and they dissolve, and that's it. And Joshua's he's looking for Orb in this, and he's in a church, and she kills herself, but she's buried Orb outside in a grave. But in the church, there's this woman, it's Tracy Lords, and when one at Guar come in, she kills him and saves Cade Foster's life, you know. And she gives him the necklace that says Raven Nation. And then next like episode or two, he finds them, he infiltrates their base and starts teaming up with them. Obviously, Joshua turns up with a Guar assault force, and there's a big battle. But they've got a scientist where they create this gas, actually, it kills them. But they don't bring the gas back. It's like this gas, it affects Guar. But they all get out and reset. And then he, obviously, over episodes, to start teaming up with Raven Nation and all this. And, you know, there's every week is that will her and him do it? You know, that you can tell there's this relationship developing. So it ends up when Mavis ends up like they're looking for bodies for him now, human bodies. So they get this like warrior in, this ex-Marine colonel. Mavis goes into his body, but his body burns out. And it comes out that they need somebody of vast intellect for his consciousness to live in. So they end up kidnapping this billionaire Mark Zuckerberg type character who's going to upload this computer program. It's going to change the world. It's going to work out technology and all this, right? And they kidnap him and put Mavis goes in there. And it's hilarious, because there's all scene in this office block where you say they kill the Guar around him, but they don't realise Mavis is inside this like billionaire's body. And there's one at Quatrains kicks in, about 13 masks on a wall, and Cade figures it out, and she's with him. And then there's a big show out and a fight. And then what happens? Well, Cade misses the thing because the cameras, because Eddie the hacker, he's controlling all cameras in building and that. But Mavis jumps bodies into her, and it's hilarious. It is hilarious. And she becomes the baddie then because he's took over her body and he's tormenting him because Cade can't kill Mavis now because he's inside the body. And it's all about saving her and stopping the second wave because it comes out they find out the 7 days till second wave. Joshua, the alien, the Guards hunting him down. He's teamed up with him because he's now classed as a traitor by Mavis and all other Guards, except them are sympathetic towards us. And they're all forced to team up, basically. Now, I found to this, the ending were quite rushed, and I found the final episode with a bit of an headfuck, actually. I know where they were trying to go with this, but I think the Mavis thing, it were like Enterprise Season 3 with us, didn't it? It really, they milked it too much. I think the Mavis thing should have been for about 10 episodes. And they were just, I don't know, they were like running around Alien at Week and then the story arc. And it's like the old Mavis thing, because he's like the Antichrist, apparently. That's in this book of Nostradamus. And Cade, there's a big fight. They get into secret base because, that's it. Yeah, get this. Right? Tilk from Stargate turns up. I'm not fucking making this up, right? In episode 20, right, they're being hunted by Guar because Guar now was setting them up and trying to kill them off because when Mavis took over her body, he killed off Raven Nation. It all got wiped out, the entire organization, by aliens. So there's about 4 or 5 of them left. And the aliens are now attacking them all the time because Mavis has all her knowledge. And they want the Nostradamus book, and there's something they're after as well. This device created by their ancestors, right, called Thor's Hammer. Don't ask, right? And what happens is like when they're getting self-port time, they're in this forest. He's running, and suddenly Cade gets transported to like this other dimension because they can create interdimensional pockets. Is what they do. And they trap people in them. I mean, they are quite ruthless, the Guar. I mean, especially the psychological side of it. You know, they create these mini-like dimensions and then just trap their own people, they trap them in it. Because there's one episode where the Earth keeps blowing up, but it's in this pocket dimension. And Joshua's been put in there as a prison sentence to relive the same 19 minutes over and over again. But Cade goes in and gets him out. Well, then, so like he's running along back to the forest. They're all there's Joshua, Crazy Eddie, and Cade being chased by a load of Guar assault soldiers in this forest. And suddenly they're all pinned down. It's overwhelming firepower. Cade is transported out of the forest into this other like spiritual dimension. And you've got Tilk as like this Jedi warrior, right? And the whole hours of him is explained to him that you've got to forgive yourself and you know that spiritual stuff, and you must forgive the Guar to achieve victory, even though they killed you out. Spirit, and it all comes out right that he's an alien whose world, like 500 years ago, got conquered by the Guar, but they lost because they got so angry and annoyed with the Guar. And they were set up into a trap because they want thinking things strategically. And 2 of them escaped. So one of these aliens, well, this race have the power of prophecy and other spiritual things. Guess what happened? One of the aliens was Nostradamus. And one of them went back in the past and started writing the book because they could see into the future. And it comes out that when Cade was a kid, the Guar tried to kill him as a kid. And this alien called Solival stepped in, saved him when he was a kid, and said, one day I'm going to return. And he does. And he teaches him how to fight the Guar. Now, why he learns all this stuff about being this and being that, and this so-called power he gives him. But then when you get to the final episode, which is fucking stupid, right? Because, right, like, you get into the final episode, because this alien's give him this, like, weird abilities, which he never uses. Right? I suppose he enhances his spirit or whatever. It's like they wake up in final episode. They're in a psychiatric hospital. They're all being convinced, all 4 of them, Joshua, him, and Crazy, that they're all insane. And like now, when I first saw this, I thought, "What the bloody hell's going on?" And it ends up that in this alien installation where they've got these like psycho weapons that are protecting it, transporting them into this psychiatric facility. Say it lasts for 3 years. They've all been mad. And because the episode before they go into the future, I mean, it's the standard. They go 9 years into the future through a wormhole. I mean, this is one of these science fiction episodes. What they've done numerous times in other stuff to retrieve this weapon in the future called Thor's hammer, bring it back, and because what it can, you say the Guar can only download one consciousness at a time. Well, when they get into this installation in final episode, because obviously the future one, Cade meets his future self, and he's all bitter and twisted. And Cade uses 4 hammers in the future to liberate Mavis out of her body. He gets her back. They all get transported back to our time. The timeline changes, and then they've got to stop the second wave. So they go to the main Guar installation. There's all this like crap in a psychiatric hospital, which I was thinking, well, why are you doing this? I don't want. We've had 15 fucking episodes of them doing stuff to his head. You know, I've had enough of this. Let's get into the battle with the aliens and stop it. Instead, we get like half an hour of this. So when they come out of it, they're like they get caught and then they get put back in psychiatric wing again. And then they're all plugged up to a VR machine. And this Mavis, it comes out, he can't use this device without Cade Foster. He needs Cade Foster to unleash the second wave because they're both connected. But Mavis is right powerful. He's got this hammer. And he didn't really explain much about it. Apparently, it was created by the Guar centuries ago when they were benevolent, right? And this hammer, right, it controls space and time, so basically you become omnipotent with it. But to use its full power, you need 2 of you. So obviously it's like 2 sides of the same coin. So they get out of this like VR thing, and they're all like in this assault and they're shooting everybody, and they end up in this big room. And there's millions of Guar, millions all on levels, you know, going up in this. I mean, like, a lot of people say, well, how did they build all that, you know, without anybody knowing? But they've been here 40 years, so it's sort of like they could have got away with it, actually. So he plugs this hammer in, and he's telling Cade Foster, he tries to convince him that he's a Guar, that it's all part of being part of the bigger picture. You're a loyal Guar. And we made you think you were human, because we wanted you to play it out to get the book and bring it to me and lead to Hammer. So this Antichrist Guar leader called Mavis can come to Earth, unleash the second wave, conquer the planet, kill everybody, and I don't live happily ever after, you know. But there's a fight between them two. Cade shoots his partners. He shoots them all. Because he's got to do this or something. I think this is part of the episode when Tilquin gave him this thing. He kills them. He sort of shoots them. And then he has a fight with maybe he gets the hammer, and Mavis is using his power. And he smacks the hammer onto his arm, and all this energy unleashes. And Mavis gets vaporized. And the entire installation starts shutting down. And he uses the hammer, he brings them all back, right? And that's it. Which is sort of interesting, but it still leaves a few things unopened. And now they've stopped the second wave. The invasion's not happening, and I assume the hammers, because he's got the hammer, they can't do anything. But there's still Guar on Earth, and so what's happening with second wave? Says the invasion stops it, but he says that they've stopped it, and it's not going to happen now. So ends up where it's like, let's go outside and see the sun. They're all watching the sun come down, get in a car and fuck off, and he's with her. That's it, and that's how it finishes. Now, the thing is with this, it does get a bit annoying because, like, there's a lot of episodes where they're doing psychological stuff to him, and I find with a lot of these things that if you start going down that path, like the weird psychological things to your mind, and it's all this, I find too many episodes of that. It's just a waste of time. I don't mind like 1 or 2 like that. I want a straight story, you know. Now, is it better than the Invaders? No, the Invaders shits all over this, right? It does, right? Because the Invaders have that thing of paranoia about it. Now, First Wave, it brings it in, but not to the level of the Invaders. But again, where the invaders sort of like you always wanted to know more about the aliens, right? With this, you find out quite a lot about these aliens and why they're here and all that, which I sort of do like. I would have liked to have seen that in the invaders towards the end. Now, I thought the rusty ending. The trouble is with First Wave, the rusty ending out too quick, and that was the problem. And I think it should have been a three-parter. Because, like, they tried going a bit out there, like where Tilk's the Jedi Master is this alien who was the partner of Nostradamus, who was the other alien that came all that time ago. And he teaches him how to fight the Gwar, what it's something to do with your mind and spirit. And then you get the episode in 21 where he goes to the future and meets himself and he's all depressed and he's just like, I'm not going to become like you. And then third episode, it just, for the build-up, it lacks it. It lacks the build-up. I wanted his victory to be something powerful at the end of it. You know, at the end of this series. Now the thing is could this have been a classic? Yeah, it could. I think this could have gone for 5 seasons if they, like, I don't know, sort of got the stories more straightened out. There's a few faults in this series, but it had potential. And I noticed one thing. There was a lot of episodes I did enjoy. You know, but I'm just sometimes I'm fed up with this, like where they're playing with your mind and all this. You know, and there is some lazy writing in some of the episodes of this, and there's like the standard like infiltration alien story where they take over the town and all this. But the third season, they are building to the second wave, which is interesting, you know. So again, it is very reminiscent of the Invaders, but it lacks something the Invaders had. I mean, even the intro of the Invaders is powerful, isn't it? You know, a Quinn Martin production. You know, it started that music. I think First Wave, if it had gone more down that sort of path, and I think we find out too much about them too quick as well, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining, because normally when you meet these like the infiltrator aliens and they're all secretive, you want to know more about them. But by first season, you start getting more into them, which I do like that. But I think it should have been more reveals in the second season and sort of building it up. I'd have made them a bit more ruthless, because a lot of them are very stereotyped. You know, there's no personality with them, except the ones that sort of become human. There's one episode where one's an American senator and he's into bondage. And there is quite a lot of sex in this and sexiness and all this. I mean, there is. I mean, they've got no point about shoving that in your face. But this one, there's like one of these aliens. He's a senator, and he's doing some. He's on the board to cancel all the space programs because they don't want, you know, cancels the space station mission to Mars, Earth's defense platform. It gets cancelled. All this, and. But thing is, he goes to this BDSM, you know, bondage. He's got this woman, she whips him and she cuts his skin, it all heals back. But she's contacting Cade Foster secretly, but she won't reveal her identity, saying they're trying to take over. And it's quite an interesting episode. But at the end, Joshua turns up to clean house as usual. And when Joshua turns up, he says to him, he says, you betrayed everything we stand for, because this guy's addicted to bondage. Because like human emotion, they can come, some of them become pretty addicted to it, you know. Sorry, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. My second coffee of the day. Right. Become addicted to it. And when Joshua's going to kill this guy who's a senator, he says to him, he says, oh, I'm a United States senator. Bang. He said, you're a politician. Bang. He's dead. He vaporizes. So they lose it. Now, I mean, I've run a comparison with the Invaders. First Wave stands on its own. For what it is, it's not a bad series. I quite enjoyed it. I'm not going to put this down in the toilet of crap. You know, it's not going to get the sacred flush this week. You know, I'm going to put First Wave through to, it could have been a classic. It's just a shame a lot of people don't know about this series. But all 66 episodes are on YouTube. And I do recommend you give this a look. Just stick with it, because by third way through first season, you sort of quite into it, you know. So, but I found the ending was a bit of a letdown. But you do get resolution at the end. You know they've been defeated, so obviously they're going to redraw the plans or whatever. But it's a victory to us. And Joshua was there as well, like, because the other Guar on Earth are helping him. There is a victory. So it's left at that, but it did get cancelled and it was losing viewers. I just thought they wasted an opportunity in the third season where I would have took it in a bit of a better way. I wouldn't have brought Mavis in till later on in third season. I'd have mentioned him in second season about this all-powerful Guart's going to come to Earth. I'd have brought him up that the leader's coming, the great one will, you know, like build it up over 3 seasons. And then when we get to see him, make him totally different to the rest of them. So his first wave, could it have been a classic? Yes, it could have been. It has the potential. The casting's great. Tracy Lords is marvellous in Raven Nation. I love the guy that plays Crazy Eddie, the computer hacker. He's just totally bonkers. We all know people like that. And Joshua, the Guar, he gives you an insight into what they're about. And you know, he's a really good, I like his character, you know, because he's so, they tried to make him so alien and detached. But there's this like decency about him as well. And the twist of Nostradamus being an alien set these events up in the past to undo it, because they're all the Guar are terrified of this book. So and that connection, I think, is great. And I loved it when Tilt turned up from Stargate to be like this Jedi type character in episode 20, which it sort of fits in, but the very episode 21 and 22 a bit disappointing. But it is resolved, and you can walk away and think, well, it wasn't that bad. So I'm going to give it the title. Yes, I'm going to press the buzzer. I pressed the buzzer. First wave, you could have been a classic. You know, you could have been a classic. So I will see you on the next episode next week. This has been a long one. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm feeling incredibly hyper. And yeah. So I will see you later today at 3 o'clock for a live show. Give First Wave a look, and it's worth it. Tracy Lords is in it. Sebastian Spence, the guy that plays Josh in Crazy Eddie, and the Guar Invasion. Definitely worth a look. So I will see you soon. The next episode Could Have Been a Classic will be next week. So take care, stay safe, and live long and prosper.